Hi folks, my name is Chris Blizzard and I would like to thank you for being here. I'm not sure why you tuned in exactly. I haven't made my thumbnail yet, but I'm probably going to say something like, this is what God looks like, something to that effect. And that was not clickbait. I am truly going to deliver on that as best I can. Of course, I'm not going to physically describe God. I've been seeing him since I was in 9th grade. And that was the first time I saw him, and I'm going to tell you about that in 4 or 5 other different occasions. Of course, I won't give you a physical description. There's an old man with a white beard, looks like Samuel L. Jackson, whatever. I can't do that. And this, I promise, is going to be the only verse from the Bible I'm going to read to you, and that is Exodus 33:20. You cannot see my face, for no one can see my face and live. Okay, I haven't actually seen what God looks like. I won't kid you there. But I will describe to you in as much detail as I can muster my physical divine interventions. I'm going to give you testimonials, not stories, testimonials to what I've been through with God starting in 9th grade. Now, why am I telling this to YouTube? I should be telling it to a church, right? No, that's what I thought. I sat down to write a book about my encounters back in 2006. And when I did that, as I was going through it, my thought was, that's my perfect audience for my book. I will go around to different churches relating my testimonies to the congregation and give people reaffirmation that God really exists. Because who doesn't need that? Even Christians need that, right? I read that Mother Teresa herself had spent a good portion of her life, like 20 years kind of thing, doubting the existence of God. Yeah, Mother Teresa herself. Because look where she worked in all those poor, starving countries, taking care of orphan children. And the things she had saw were so detrimental to her, she thought, how can God exist and this be happening? So even she needs something like that. So that was my thought. I would go around to different churches, be welcomed in, give my talks about my experiences, maybe sell some books, talk to some people, and that's where I thought my life was going. So before writing this book, I reached out to churches. I went online, found a church near me, went down there, was greeted by the pastor, very friendly guy. Hello, welcome, sees me walking in, cigarette smoking, pot smoking guy that just doesn't look like he belongs in a church. And he came up, shook my hand and said, God has us all meet for a reason. Gave me his phone number and said, if there's anything you ever want to talk about, let me know. So I called him a few days later, and we met like that Thursday at the local Starbucks. Hold on, I have a cigarette. At the local Starbucks, and I told him about my plan, and even think I told him gave him a brief account of one of my testimonials, stories as they've been called, and I'll never forget. He looked at me and he said, "Look at you. You're not even a Christian. You smoke. Can't be a Christian if you smoke, right? So, no, I'm not going to allow you to come into my church and talk to my parishioners and about your stories about God. Because who are you?" I was put off. I was devastated. So, needless to say, I never went back to that church, never had anything more to do with him. Went home. That was in 2006. Now it's 2024, and a lot has happened since then, including me moving here to Texas from Arizona, which is where I'm at now. And even here in Texas, I found myself homeless, no money, no food. I reached out to churches, several of them, telling them my situation, asking them if they could give me any help. Not a single one of them got back to me. Not to be deterred, last week, going through my phone, I found the nearest church I could find to me, which was still a couple miles away, and I'm on foot. I'm staying at a Motel 6, no transportation. I contacted the church and they said, you know what? We'd love to have you. We will send Larry over to pick you up and bring you to church. Oh, great. Even though this was the Church of Latter-day Saints, which I hadn't really put together in my silly brain, that's a Mormon church. But still, not a biggie, right? I went to this Mormon church and the people that I met were very nice. Talked to a few of them, well, starting with Larry on the way there, the church. I'm telling him about one of my interventions with God. And you know what he said to me? He looked in his mirror and said, yeah, we all have our stories. I wanted to reach up from the back seat and smack that motherfucker right across the head. Pardon my language. It was like there was that first guy all over again. Every time, and I've gone to church a few times in between those two events, always the same. They don't want to hear it. I guess maybe if I was a member of the church for 20 years and I was going around talking about how I had followed the Bible and went to church every Sunday and done all of these things, and this church helped me, so if you join this church, it can help you too to be, have God intervene in your life. And when I tell you these stories, they're at life-changing / life-saving critical times in my life. But yeah, you can have that too if you just follow the book and do what I do, and that's the only way they would want to hear from me. So, you know what? Fuck them all. I'm coming right here to YouTube. You people that have maybe never gone to church, or you haven't gone to church in 10 years, whatever, and maybe you believe in God, you want to believe in God, but you need a little push, because the Bible is 2,000 years old, written by people that most of the time weren't even present when the accounts happen that they talk about, and you're supposed to believe in that. Well, maybe some people, like Mother Teresa herself, need a little bit more than that. So that's what I'm going to offer you here today. Well, it's probably going to take me about 5 different videos to make this series, but that's what I'm offering you here, so you can sit there in your home, you can watch this video, and hopefully, it will do something to benefit your life, bring you closer to God, give you a little bit of reaffirmation that He really does exist, because He does. I am not a believer in God, I'm a knower in God. I know that God is real because of what I went through. And let me also say this, I will not tell you one single word here today that isn't true, because I don't have any proof. All I have are my accounts, which could very well be made up, but they're not. Every single thing I'm going to tell you here today is true, and I hope this helps you. So let me wrap this video up, and then the next video, I'm going to start out in 9th grade and the first time I saw God. And you really want to come back for that story. It's a good one. It's not the best. I have my third story, actually, because I'm just going to do these in chronological order. But my third story, my third testimonial that I'm going to give you, for me, is absolute proof that God exists. And if you believe me, hopefully it will be for you as well. So thank you for being here, and you're the only one I can talk to. I can't talk to people in the church. I have not to this day had a single Christian I've ever told one of my accounts to go, oh, that's interesting, I'd like to hear more. Or no, every freaking one of them has had the same thing. Well, we all have our stories. Yeah. Really? Well, then tell me yours. I'd love to hear your story. But they don't have them. And they get pissed off because they've gone to church every Sunday. They followed the commandments. They have Bible study at their house on every Wednesday. And they've done all these things. And yet, like Mother Teresa, they don't even know whether or not God's real. So how could some pot-smoking, bad-talking, bad boy like me have some kind of encounter with God that's divine, that is worth them hearing? Every freaking one of them has had that attitude. So, you know what? Fuck them. Fuck the churches. But this is about God. So, thank you for being here, and I'll see you on the next video, which, what am I going to call this one? I'm going to call this one interrupting telephone. Because in this video, in that video, God is going to look like a telephone. Yep. Not Samuel Jackson, not the white-haired old man sitting on a cloud waiting for someone to pull his finger. It's God's going to take the form of a telephone. So I hope you come back for that. Thank you, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.